But we begin this morning with New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo calling for what is essentially a reboot when it comes to the controversial Common Core educational standards. The governor is assembling a special panel to review Common Core. It's made up of educators, lawmakers, and parents. The governor has been critical of the state's rollout of Common Core. He says the panel's agenda is to review all that's gone wrong to see what can be fixed. And that includes a review of the training of teachers and the tests used to measure student and teacher performance. A report back to the governor is expected by the end of the year. Joining us now is someone applauding the idea of a reboot. He's Brian Sales, the president of the Nassau-Suffolk School Boards Association, representing all of Long Island school boards, and welcome to the show, Mr. Sales.
Thank you.
First off, what do you think of the governor's call to reassess Common Core?
Well, it's a good call, provided he actually does it the right way. And so if you're just going to go through the motions and not really make any changes, then kind of like, what's the point?
Well, what's the right way to you? And we hear 1,000 opinions on this. But to you, representing all the school boards on Long Island, what do you think is the right way?
Well, I'd say he has to take a step back and put, we're trying to do too many things all at once, and so we've done a lot of things not very well. And so if we wanted to do it successfully, maybe we should just start at the beginning and start with the curriculum itself, nail that down first, and then after we've figured out and got the appropriate curriculum that we want, then you can move forward to some of these other items. The other thing is that, we're not making widgets. These are students, they're all individuals, and this, cookie cutter, one-size-all, approach, it just isn't working. Because
it's a national, federal program that was pushed out, and New York jumped in on it to get some big money, about $800 million bucks, and then they rolled it out quickly. Were the students ready for what they were being asked to take?
No. No, and it's not like you can just flip a switch and overnight, okay, we're doing it, okay? It takes time if you want to do it the right way. If you want to just, as we've done, just push this all out and, okay, we're going to do this automatically. Well, obviously, we could see that didn't work.
The critics on the other side, though, of the performance of schools say, look, the students didn't do very well. It shows they weren't prepared in the first place, going years back, in order to pass these kind of standards to allow them to compete internationally and to be able to go out into the workplace.
Well, it depends on how you want to look at your statistics is how you can support your position. But I'd say that, there are a lot of challenges that are left out in this, one-size-all-fits approach in terms of, so we're going to assume everyone can learn at the same pace as everyone else, and everyone should be able to take, at these different grade levels. It doesn't include special ed kids who may not be at the appropriate level for a test, but we're going to test them at that level and then wonder why they weren't successful.
Yeah,
Is that
I'm surprised
really fair
by
to
something.
those children?
Yeah, they're actually tested by their chronological age rather than their actual ability.
Right.
That seems a little tough for special education students.
Or even if you have kids that have just come into the country, so we're going to push them through and make them take the test right away.
Okay, well they're a minority of the students, and overall we've seen this problem of the students scoring about 40% over the last couple of years on these tests, which is way down from previous years. Meanwhile, dozens of Long Island school superintendents are saying we're testing too much. They sent letters to Congress saying dial back the testing. They don't need to be tested every year in grades 3 to 8. How do you feel about that?
I would agree with that we're doing too much testing. And the other thing is, in certain instances, what's coming down from above, we're testing in some respects for the wrong reasons. And so we should be using tests as evaluations for individual students to address their needs, as opposed to, again, this blanket approach for everyone.
Well, you know how bureaucracy moves very slowly. If the report doesn't come out it's supposed to be out at the end of the year, maybe you see it next year. There's no way anything they're talking about could be put in place before the Common Core test scheduled next spring. Do you think that the Common Core opt-out rebellion will continue? Last year we saw 70,000 students opt out on Long Island. That's nearly half the student population.
I think that if there isn't, say, some substantial change in terms of, we should really acknowledge that things aren't going well, put the brakes on things, and want to move forward a little slowly. And I think, you talk about the superintendents and actual educators, it's the people in the field, the teachers, the superintendents. Those are the people that are going to get the job done, okay? And why wouldn't we listen to them and take the approach? Now, I know the Superintendent's Association has sent many letters to the State Ed Department saying, we could get it done, this is the way we should do it. I mean, I think just, good leadership skills would say, okay, I can't do it myself. I need the people in the trenches to get the job done. Why don't I want to listen to those?
Well, how valid are these Common Core tests if you have half the students opting out? And then, of course, some have speculated that those are the ones that would have done even worse because they don't want to take the test. Where do you stand on that? I mean, what do you think?
Well,
are these results valid?
The results, no. The results, I don't see how you could use the results. The other thing is some of the tests aren't even, we're testing kids at things they haven't even learned yet. So some of the tests have information on it that's not even grade level appropriate.
Do you support the idea of opting out of the test?
As a elected official and school board member, obviously I have to follow the laws of the state. And so, you know, I think when you talk about the opt-out movement, I think that's a result of people's frustration of people at the top not listening to what people are telling them. And it's not like, you know, everybody wants the best education for our kids, okay? So no one wants, oh, everybody wants to do better. Why aren't we letting the people, you know, if I hired an electrician or a plumber to do work in my house, I'm not going to tell him how he's supposed to do it. He's the expert. So why don't I want to listen more to what teachers and superintendents, good educators, and we have tons of them in New York State, why aren't we listening to what these people are telling us? Well, yeah, they feel
slighted, and of course, the majority of them, I think everyone agrees, would be good teachers, but there are always some that are not. And the governor has, because of that, has stood by his feeling that teacher evaluations need to be toughened, that we need to know whether or not these teachers are doing what they're supposed to do. He's sticking by that still at this point. Is that going to interfere with any possibility for reform on Common Core?
I think if we want, you know, so he's acknowledged that the tests are flawed, but yet he still wants to use those same tests to evaluate teachers. Does that make any sense to anyone?
Well, this debate goes on, and we'll certainly be following it, waiting to see what comes out of the panel and what happens next spring as well. But we want to thank you for coming in and talking with us today.
You.
Brian Sales, he's president of the Nassau-Suffolk School Boards Association. Thanks for stopping in and explaining where things stand at this point.